Look at this layer of smog smothering New Delhi. By the time we hit 2026, the sheer density of our megacities is colliding with extreme heat and air pollution, pushing human endurance to its absolute breaking point. The physics of how we build cities is actively making this worse. Standard concrete and asphalt act as massive thermal sinks. They possess high thermal inertia, meaning they soak up solar radiation all day and trap it. You end up with surface temperatures so extreme, the very roads begin to melt and deform under the weight of traffic. To survive inside these concrete ovens, we rely on mechanical air conditioning. But AC units don't magically erase heat, they simply move it. To cool the interior, they dump massive amounts of waste heat directly back into the streets, driving ambient temperatures even higher and forcing the machines to work harder. Our static, mechanical approach to urban design is reaching a thermodynamic limit. When cement production alone contributes 8% of global CO2 emissions, we cannot simply rely on more power-hungry machines to fight the very heat they help generate. The traditional answer to urban heat is to plant more trees, but look at a typical modern construction site. Dense urban grids are defined by rigid, sprawling foundations that leave virtually zero arable soil. Trees require underground infrastructure, deep roots, and high soil volumes that physically cannot fit into a concrete-locked megacity. So instead of trying to carve out scarce land to make room for nature, we have to engineer the building materials themselves to function as biological infrastructure. To actually work in a dense city, this technology has to retrofit existing vertical surfaces. It needs to survive without soil, without deep-rooting structures that crack walls, and without complex mechanical irrigation networks. To survive the climate extremes of the next century, we have to upgrade our dead infrastructure into a reactive, living skin. The biological engine driving this system relies on urban pioneer mosses, specifically strains like Racomitrium japonicum. Unlike most plants, moss lacks a protective waxy cuticle on its outer layer. It operates like a highly sorptive sponge, absorbing water directly into its cellular structure. Some species can hold up to 12 times their own dry mass in water without drowning. But moss cannot thrive on standard, highly alkaline building materials. That requires a material science breakthrough known as Bioreceptive Concrete. To fix this, engineers heavily modify the standard cement mix by reducing the alkalinity to a targeted pH between 5.0 and 6.5 and significantly increasing the surface porosity and micro-roughness. The material provides tiny, moisture-rich pockets. This allows the moss to securely anchor and grow entirely without soil. We are looking at the successful engineering of a synthetic biological interface. It turns vertical walls into self-sustaining ecosystems that require virtually no maintenance. When you apply this living skin to a building, it triggers what researchers call the sweat effect. This diagram illustrates the mechanism. On the left, standard concrete absorbs incoming solar radiation, baking the structure. On the right, the bioreceptive moss intercepts that heat, using it to evaporate the water trapped inside its cells, creating an active cooling shield. Because the evaporation process requires immense energy, the moss actively pulls ambient heat directly out of the surrounding air to fuel its own metabolism. And the data on this is striking. Looking at this graph from a field study at Dongguk University, you can see the steep thermal divergence. During peak summer heat waves, in fact, the moss-covered panels dropped exterior surface temperatures by a massive 19 degrees Celsius compared to bare concrete. That exterior shield translates to immediate interior relief. Maximum indoor temperatures fell by 3.5 degrees Celsius. That drastically reduces the cooling load placed on air conditioning systems, severing the waste heat feedback loop. By hijacking the natural thermodynamic flow of water and heat, a building's own surface area is weaponized to passively refrigerate the city. To scale across towering skyscrapers without risking structural failure, engineers utilize two-layer composite panels. The load-bearing structural core remains highly alkaline and biologically inert, meaning no roots or moisture penetrate. Biological colonization is strictly confined to the thin, modular outer skin. For existing structures, researchers have developed specialized organic adhesives using materials like methylcellulose and clay that allow them to literally spray or paint thick moss slurries directly onto disturbed urban walls. Between modular composite panels and surface-level printing, this interface offers a scalable retrofit for existing skylines, turning dead walls into functional biological surfaces. But the biology is only half the equation. Systems like the CityTree take these moss panels and integrate them with the Internet of Things, networking the biology with digital sensors to create a smart, self-regulating atmospheric filter. The filtration efficiency of a single CityTree unit is significant. It captures approximately 240 tons of carbon dioxide annually, while physically trapping up to 82% of fine particulate dust from the surrounding air. Look at this dimensional comparison. Just one of these vertical panels purifies the breathing air for 7,000 people every single hour. To get that exact same air cleaning capacity using traditional greening, you would need to plant a dense forest of 275 urban trees. This biotech solution achieves it while requiring 99% less physical space. We are moving past the era of static architecture. By integrating bioreceptive concrete, IoT sensors, and specialized moss, we are shifting toward a biodigital infrastructure, one where cities utilize natural processes to actively manage their own environmental health.